Woo! Hey everybody, I'm Jim Sammons, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live, as always, brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. Today, we are having Mocha Marlin Porter, one of my favorites. And one of the reasons I'm having this one right now is because it's also the favorite of our guest. And unfortunately, he can't get it. So I'm kind of being mean. So I'm going to have a Mocha Marlin Porter. It's kind of a dessert beer, wintertime beer. It is so good. It's got that coffee and mocha flavoring. Oh, man, so good. So good. So I know Ulf is very jealous. It's election day, so I was hoping maybe we get a little distraction from the politics here. You know, I don't do a whole lot of political stuff, but I hope y'all did go out and vote and voted correctly. So for anybody who's new to this, every Tuesday and Thursday, we air old episodes of the Kayak Fishing Show. On Tuesdays, we do the Jackson Kayak Years. On Thursdays, we do the older stuff, the Ocean Kayak Years. And we do it with live commentary, sometimes just myself, sometimes with a guest. But we are open to questions. So if you do have any comments or questions, I hope that you will throw them our way, because it always makes for a better show. But with no further ado, our guest today, because I want to get him on here right away. And please give him a thumbs up and a big thank you, because I got him to come on the show. Ulf Johansson. It's after 11 o'clock at night there, and he's a fisherman. He's up early in the mornings, so I know it's well past his bedtime. But he's a good friend of mine from all our trips to Sweden, so I wanted to make sure we got him on here. Ulf, welcome to the show. Cheers.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for not sending me a beer.
Yeah, it wouldn't be cold anymore by the time it got to you. So
I don't mind. Just send them warm. We can't get them anymore this year. The Mocha Marlins. I don't know why.
Because they're saving them all for me.
Oh, that's a great beer, man.
It is delicious. Like I said, I usually drink it late at night. Like I said, more of a dessert beer, or when it's really cold out. That's when I really like to drink those. So it's a good one. Let me get this banner that's scrolling across the bottom. But our sponsors, please take a look at all our sponsors across the bottom and support them, because they support us and allow us to do these shows. Oops, I meant to take it off. But do make sure you share our channel and bring on the questions. Need questions. There are some comments here already. Ricky Tiki Tavi is watching from over on Kayak Fishing Tales, our YouTube channel. And he says, not going to lie, that fish in the thumbnail looks mighty tasty. Yeah, we caught that while we were on this trip, a nice cod, and it was tasty. We had and I think it's in the video. I don't remember. But we did a whole fish fry segment, and they were delicious. Therese Anderson. I'm not sure how you pronounce T.
That's Swedish. Therese.
Therese. Is that a guy's name or a woman's name?
No, it's a girl's name.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's Swedish for Teresa.
Okay, Teresa, thank you for joining us, and Gene Wilson, thank you as always for joining us. Gene, you commented when I first put this up that you have family in Sweden. I don't remember where it was, what area it was, but I know you have some family in Sweden as well, which is cool. We love Sweden. I mean, this video today is our very first trip to Sweden, but we had so much fun. I think I've been back 3 more times, or at least 2 more times. I've stayed at Ulf's house. I've knocked ice off of boat seats to go fishing. That's the only, I mean, I love Sweden. I love the people. The country is beautiful, but you guys like to fish when it's really cold.
And windy.
And windy.
Do you remember when you did this episode? You had quite a job before you.
Well, yeah, that picture actually behind me is while we did some trolling, and I trolled for like 6 hours straight, no stopping. Barely stopped to take a sip of water because the wind was in my face, and trolling 3 lines, you couldn't stop or you'd end up in a tangled mess.
You did a good job.
It was fun. It was fun, and that was with our friend Erik. But before we get this thing going, actually, a couple more comments here real quick. Andrew says hello to Jim and Ulf. Gene Wilson says yes, close to Carlskrona.
Carlskrona? Oh, that's just it's very close to here.
Is it?
My closest town, big town, it's Carlskrona, and then you have 3 miles, then you have Ronneby, then 3 more miles, Swedish miles, that 30 kilometers. It's Carlskrona, so that's very close.
Very cool. Very cool. Gene, have you been over there to visit? Jim King says hi from the Ottawa Valley. Thank you so much for joining us. Got Paul joining us from Queensland, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Awesome. Appreciate you joining us. Today's, I have no idea what you're saying. You got that one, Ulf? Male.
She explains that male Thérèse, French Creole Terre. I think she explains some.
Well, whatever it is, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And Liam Young joining us over from Kayak Fishing Tales. And Jean says she visited the family farm in 1973. I'm guessing it's changed a bit if it was in 1973. But it is a beautiful country. I absolutely loved it. And like I said, the people were all so friendly. But before we get going on the episode, why don't we hear a little bit about Ulf Johansson? What have you got going on right now? Are you still guiding? Are you still doing? Well,
I am still guiding, but it's November here now, and that means it's getting colder by the minute and darker by the minute. So 5 o'clock, it's dark here now in the afternoon. So I don't guide as much on winter time, so I normally do work as a carpenter. Then in springtime, I go down to my buddy Nicola, and we do guiding for bluefin tuna up in north in Croatia.
Oh, that's right, Croatia.
In the Adriatic Sea. And then when I come home, the salmon season starts for real. The salmon season is almost all year round, except in the middle of the summer. But in springtime, we have really, really, really good fishing here for Atlantic salmon, or the Baltic salmon as is.
And then you have a lot of pike fishing, which is what we went there for, the pike fishing in the archipelago.
Yeah, the pike fishing is all year around, and we also have pretty good perch fishing, and you can do up in the lakes, and you can go out in the sea. So we have a good amount of fishing. We don't have as many species as you have. Right.
But the pike fishing is great, and there's big pike there.
Oh yeah.
I think one thing that people would be surprised to know if they're not familiar is the pike fishing there is in brackish water.
Yeah.
When the first time we went, I had no idea. I just knew we were going. Somebody else set it up. We're going to Sweden, and we're going to go pike fishing. And all of a sudden, we're in salt water, brackish water, and I'm like, I had no clue.
And there's in southeast of Sweden, where I live here, is like we have really, really, really good water for pike. So we are famous for the good pike fishing here.
Yeah, like I said, and I know there's some very, very large ones. But
actually, the absolute largest one is in the big lakes in Sweden, like in Lake Vättern, where the Swedish record are like 50 pounds.
50 pounds?
Well, that's new. That's new world record. But let's say,
well, that's
80 pounds. 80 pounds.
What, 80 pounds?
Yeah.
That's enormous.
20 kilos. Yeah.
That's when they get those big distended bellies on them.
Yeah.
And you see them holding them and it like laps over their hand.
Yeah.
But just amazing. Are you still doing the crayfish?
Yeah. Up in
fishing?
Lake Vättern. Yeah. I live in Lake Vättern in 2.5 months per year. And I do crayfishing and I do guiding for salmon and trout and Arctic char. They have fantastic Arctic char fishing there.
Those are a beautiful fish.
Oh yeah, and tasty. They are tasty critters.
I've not eaten one, but they sure are pretty. And those crayfish you get, I mean, that feast we had at your house, I think we ate 20 pounds of the things. And absolutely amazing. We've got a couple more people checking in saying hello, and then we will get this video rolling. Roy saying hello from Maryland. Thanks for joining us. Robert from Northeast PA. Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. And again, I appreciate everybody who joins us. And the more you guys can share this and all that, the better off we are. I really appreciate people who share these things with their friends. Jonathan Lee says he loves the show. Thank you very much. Mary, too true. I don't know what that's referring to, but sometimes these comments come up and you don't see them till later, so you have no idea what they refer to. So
I just realized I said 80 pounds. That means it must be 40 pounds. 1 pound is 0.454 grams, I think.
We said there'd be no math.
It's 40 pounds.
Well, I know there's 50 pounders around. I mean, but 80 pound would be insane.
I think they have a new world record now from somewhere in Europe now. Yeah, well, that was a great pike.
I just like pike because that explosion, particularly if they're getting them on top water, when they just explode on it or on the fly. I know you do a lot of the fly fishing as well. Just such a fun fish in that respect. You know, for freshwater fish, they can be a handful.
Especially when you fish in our side here, southeast, because we have very shallow waters. And that means you fish them also shallow, like up in the seaweeds. And that means you see at least 8 out of 10 strikes up in top surface.
Yeah, so the water,
as you said, it just explodes.
Yeah, and I remember the water being very clear.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, throwing over the top of a boulder and just seeing a big pike come off that boulder and just destroying a top water lure. Let's just rip through a couple more. Actually, Robert asks, any muskie out there?
No muskie. We don't have any muskies here.
Facebook user, that would be watching from the Kayak Fishing Show group. You have to get permission for it to show your name. But hi, Jim. Windy gray day here in north of New Zealand. Springtime and fishing is fantastic currently. Looking forward to the show. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
It's fantastic. You have followers from all over the world on this show.
Yeah, I regularly get people from Brazil, New Zealand, Australia. It's very cool. And that's what I really love about what I've been able to do over the years, is traveling around the world, making friends all over the world. Yeah. And then being able to interact with people on this. Like I said, the whole internet has just kind of shrunk the whole world. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, about how it relates to politics and how everybody knows everybody's business. It's pretty amazing. Chris checking in from Texas. Thank you very much. Florin, 1 pound is equal to 0.45 kilograms.
Yeah.
And here is I am from Belize and love fishing. Live in Minnesota now. So very cool. I love Belize. I've been there a few times, and it's also a wonderful place. Great for tarpon fishing. So,
but anyway, it's totally Swedish name.
Yes. We'll say one more hello. Florin, how ya from Ireland? Awesome. So again, this episode is from our very first shoot in Sweden. 2014, maybe, I think. I don't remember. We are fishing with Gunnar, who is another good friend, and Jan Liska, who was the Jackson Kayak team leader for Jackson Kayak Europe, who unfortunately not long after this, I think the next year, passed away. He died in an avalanche while snowboarding or skiing. Just the nicest guy, full of energy, big dude. I mean, just a great guy, and it was so unfortunate to lose him. And we actually went back the following year for his memorial, and now there's a kayak fishing tournament in his name every year. So at least his name is living on in the kayak fishing community over there because he was such a great guy. But with no further ado, let's get this episode rolling. Otherwise, we're going to sit here and talk for an hour.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, we're in Carlskrona, Sweden. Never thought I'd be kayak fishing in Sweden. We basically have the United Nations of kayak fishing here. We have guys from the Czech Republic, Sweden, Germany, China. I mean, we've got everybody here, a great team of Jackson Kayak Fishing guys. Stick around. This is going to be an awesome show. Word to the wise, if your mama ain't taught you. Don't stand in front of a man and a fish he ain't caught yet. Honey, if the world calls me, tell him I'm fishing. I'm going fishing. Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to? Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to go fishing? I'm going fishing.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Body Glove Footwear, featuring the new 3T Barefoot Water Shoe. Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Yak Attack. For kayak fishermen, by kayak fishermen. Ram, innovative mounting systems proudly made in the USA. And Hook One. Everything you need to get out there and hook one. This week on Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show, Jim is headed to Sweden to fish with Jackson Kayak Fishing Team Europe.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Jan from Jackson Kayak. I'm the team manager for Europe, for the European team. And this is probably the first team trip that I organized in Europe, which is with Jim joining us for Pike.
Okay, I'm already pausing it because I just wanted to comment on something there. You know, us from the US, we're very much used to having our big trucks, F-250s, and seems to be a lot more very small cars over there in Europe, and the price of gas is much higher, so they want is these guys were the masters of stacking kayaks on top of these tiny cars and packing gear into the back of these little cars. I've never seen anything like it. They'd be in a car that was 3 feet shorter in length than the kayak and have 5 kayaks on top of it. It was crazy. So I just saw that. It was a reminder. And that's the cool thing for me, going back and watching these old episodes. It really brings back a lot of memories. And that was certainly one of them.
Pike fishing session in Carlskrona. So it's the first real team trip in Europe, and it's been going pretty good.
Hello, my name is Joel Abrahamson from Sweden.
Erik Lorenz from Germany. Anton Svetkov from Sweden/Russia.
Hi, I'm Jakub Kabak from Czech Republic.
Their host on this adventure is the city of Carlskrona, a beautiful city situated in a brackish archipelago, the perfect place to catch monster northern pike. Their guide is Gunnar Ullström, owner and operator of Pike Strike Sweden, a top-notch fishing, kayak fishing outfitter, and guide service.
I'm the team leader for the Swedish Jackson team, and I'm at the same time I have this fishing camp here. It's like a base for the Jackson kayaks, and we have also all the kind of fishing stuff here for guests and tourists.
It's been a long flight, but Jim has arrived at his home away from home for the next week and hooked up with the rest of the European team. After a few minutes setting up rods and rigging the Jackson kayaks, it's time to get on the water and fish.
Well, first we have nature in Sweden. For me, nature is the real nature. You have the woods, you have the lakes, you have a clean area, clean nature. And we have good fishing also, especially, well, I'm here in the archipelago. The fishing is so you can do so many kinds of fishing in Sweden. And it's a long and big country, it's densely populated, so you don't have boats everywhere. If you go into the bay, if I see another guy fishing in the bay, I don't go in there because I want a serene place to be, to fish, and I don't want to disturb anyone. So here I can be on my own. I will never be disturbed. I have good fishing, great nature, great wildlife, and I think also the Swedish fishermen are really nice to be part of. So,
a couple of the guys who were instrumental on setting up this trip were Gunnar from Pike Strike. He's got a fishing business here, and he really helped put this whole thing together, where we're staying, the whole bit. And then Jan from Team Jackson Kayak. These guys really helped us put this thing together. They talked to their buddies, and everybody wanted to come fish with us. So we just got this great group that they put together. And I just can't wait to learn this fishery from them and just have some fun. It's another little guy, but it's beautiful colors on them. They're very golden. It's not big, but it's a fish, and it sure is pretty, man. The colors are amazing. There he goes.
Don't touch that remote. There's plenty more kayak fishing mayhem from the shores of Carlskrona, Sweden.
Came up and hit it right next to me.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Learn more at jacksonkayak.com.
So yeah, it was windy. I remember that now. I mean, I look at the picture behind me. It was windy. I remember it was really windy and really cold. And it was like, I want to say it was like in May when we did this trip.
Yeah.
And
it was in peak season for salmon.
Right?
Yeah. Early May, I think.
And I just, because I mean, I love going out on nice, calm, glassy days. And those guys are all hating it. And then it's just whipping wind. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is perfect pike weather. Like, this sucks.
This part of Sweden always have lots of winds. We're famous for that.
It was so windy. And I don't know if it's actually the perfect time for fishing, or they've just gone, hey, it's windy all the time, so we'll say it's the perfect time.
No, but the pikes do like windy days. They do. And it's the same with salmon. I don't like to fish when it's flat calm. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of fish that are like that. Marlin and all that. They'll start coming to the surface when you start getting that surface chop. But as a kayak angler, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Well, regarding salmon, the old guys said that the salmon wanted to have a roof. So when you have calm water, they can see through up in the air. That makes them a little bit shy, so they go down a little bit deeper. But when they have some windy weather, the surface gets black, and that means they go closer to the surface. So you don't only use the downriggers, you use the top water lures too.
Okay. And you do mostly, I mean, you're mostly a boat fisherman and troll 50 lines at one time and with those big planer boards off the sides. And
no, you know, I like to fly fish with pike in wintertime. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I as I said, I do all kinds of fishing. If you put a rod in my hands, I'm perfectly satisfied wherever I am.
Yeah, well, you came. I said you do your stuff for the bluefin tuna, and then you came down here and fished with us for tuna and dorado and yellowtail and such. So,
I still dream about your kelp patties.
The kelp patties out offshore.
Yeah.
That was fun. We'd have you sitting on top of the boat looking for kelp patties as we're driving around.
You remember my back?
Your back.
When Matt, you and I were out, and Matt and me were sitting on top of the roof. And I burned my back so bad.
Oh, the sunburn. Yes.
Yeah.
You got cooked. Typical person who comes here is not used to our sun. So
Swedish.
Let's keep her rolling.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Welcome back. This week, Jim Sammons is hooked up with Jackson Kayak Fishing Team Europe in Carlskrona, Sweden for a fish-filled week, hunting for pike, trout, cod, and salmon. Guiding them is Jackson Kayak Team member and owner-operator of Pike Strike Sweden, Gunnar Ahlström.
Well, for me, I'm always talking about the whole picture. I want to be close to the nature. I want to be alone with the nature. I'm a guest in the nature. I am a guest in the Pike's living room, I say.
Also on this adventure is Jackson Kayak Fishing Team Europe leader Jan Liska and his Czech teammates Jakub and Lukas.
Sweden is the mecca of fishing in Europe. You got pike mostly in inshore and the brackish waters, and they get ridiculously big because everybody catches and releases here since, I don't know, 10 years ago. So the big ones get even bigger, and the genes that are in the lakes and in the brackish water, they get better and better as the big fish are returned still into the water always.
And joining us from Sweden is Anton and Joel.
We got our second day on the water. We got the whole crew out here spread out, throwing a variety of lures. I'm throwing a Sebile stick shad, and first cast, I got a fish.
And finally, joining Jim from Germany, Erik Lorenz.
I was 5 years old when my grandpa took me to fishing with his boat, and I always wanted to have a boat for me. So it's great to go out on the sea and do things like that. But the problem is that you need a trailer, you need a place to let it in the garage or whatever, and it's expensive. And the kayak is the thing between you.
This week while we were in Sweden, the kayak I was using was the Jackson Kayak Kuda 14. It's the kayak I use at home. It's the kayak I'm most comfortable with. It was great for paddling the long distances we were paddling, and when we were trolling, and the stability to stand up. It's a great kayak that I'm very comfortable in. The kayak that we had a whole bunch of Jackson kayaks on the water, honestly. Two of the guys were using the Jackson Kayak Big Tuna. It's a tandem, but it's very standable, and these guys are bigger guys, particularly Jan, very tall, so it's a great stand-up platform for him for sight casting to these big pike.
Yeah, I paddle the Big Tuna, and what I love about it is even when we get rough conditions, waves and wind, I can stand up in it. I can stand up fish, which is very important here. We're fishing for big pike, and if you do not strike, if you do not set the hook with all your might standing up, you will lose the fish. And I also take lots of stuff with me, so that's why the Big Tuna. I'm thinking about the Kilroy, but they're just playing with it because it's a bit faster, a bit lighter, or maybe the big rig later. Like, there are so many choices, but for the moment, it's the big tuna. I'm putting on a JK custom-made lure. It's called a TNT jerk, which is exactly what they want in those conditions. Now we go sun, and hopefully we'll have one on this. Every time a person tries the kayak, they love it. It has never happened to me that a person would try the kayak out and would say, "Oh my God, I do not like this at all." That just does not happen. I mean, every fisherman has this sense for independence, freedom, roaming around to get the fish, and kayaks all about that. So everybody they all want it, but they might not know it yet. A 50 centimeter one, and something just ripped it off his hook. So yeah, we're in a good spot.
This week while we're in Sweden, we're mainly fishing for pike, and we were hoping for some big ones. So the setup I wanted to have for that is an extra heavy action APR rod. This is basically one of their swim bait rods for throwing heavier lures, because we were throwing lures of varying sizes, but I needed that backbone and good castability that I got from the APR rod. My reel is just a low profile reel that's really comfortable, picks up a lot of line for moving those lures through the water. On the reel, I have it loaded with 30-pound Seaguar Kanzen braid. I like the sensitivity, I like the setting power with that, and great castability. You don't need long leaders, but you do need a leader. So you either need to go with wire, or what I do is usually just go with Seaguar 100-pound fluorocarbon. So it gives me a nice tooth protection, a barrel swivel up above it, and then because I'm changing lures a lot, I have a tactical angler's clip. So I can take lures on and off very quickly, very easily. Very nice, particularly when the water is really cold and your hands aren't working well. Much easier to operate than a snap swivel. That's what I was using on this trip to Sweden. Check it out.
Stay tuned. When we return, Jim puts down the pike rod and the guys hook up with the crew at Santa Marine to fish for big salmon offshore. Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show.
Big salmon offshore.
Hook one.
Yeah.
Everything you need to get out there and hook one.
Yeah, and this next coming segment, we get to fish with Erik Lorenz. I'm losing my mouse here. Who was truly one of the funnest guys to be around. One of the nicest people you'd ever meet. And comedy. I mean, I don't know.
You remember the name we gave him the first day? Mr. Butterfingers.
Yeah, yeah. And then
he caught a salmon, and I had Will in my trolling boat. That was my old boat, and we were going towards him to film it, and Will shouted, "Whatever you do, don't lose the fish. Whatever you do, don't lose the fish." Schwop. You should see the face on Will.
I can just imagine. And I know what happened next, because Erik hooked up again, and he wasn't letting that fish go.
No. Then his name was Steel Claw.
Yeah, a Steel Claw.
Yeah.
Because he just like, ah!
I was so happy.
I think he went a little Mike Tyson on that fish as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting away.
But he was so happy to finally to be able to produce. So we can show it on show.
At least he did. I know.
Yeah.
But so much fun out there. Keep her rolling. Eventually.
Jackson
There it
Kayak's
is.
Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Power Pole Micro Anchor. Swift, silent, secure, and small. This week, Jim Sammons has traveled to Carlskrona, Sweden. Carlskrona is the home of the Swedish Navy, and until recently closed to tourists. Today, all that has changed, and now they allow people from all over the world to enjoy the rich heritage, culture, and of course, fishing the city has to offer.
So the wind is up a bit today.
I'm going to pause right here just real quick because this is a cool little town. I love Carlskrona. I mean, just a super cool little town. This museum we went in, the Maritime Museum, was so awesome. Those, I can't even think what they call them now, the front of the boat. That's what these are behind me in that picture, where I've frozen it there. So the front of the old ships, and it's a museum full of them, and they're huge. And I mean, just everything about that whole area is so cool.
Those statues there that was supposed to be on the front of the boat, they are extremely expensive. So they're worth a lot of money.
Yeah, these aren't replicas. These are all original old ones. And
yeah,
I mean, you could see how they were worn and split and semi-rotted and broken, but they were so cool. And this museum is just full of them. And I think one of the other things that they showed was how when they used to build these old ships, they would initially make a replica model of it, down to the most minute detail of the models of these old wooden ships. I mean, the things you will see in this museum, it was worth the visit alone. I mean, I loved that place. And then we got to go in a submarine. It's just very, very cool area. So just wanted to stop and share that real quick.
And we decided to take a day off from being on the water. And that's one of the cool things about traveling for the Kayak Fishing Show is we get to explore some great places. I'm standing here in the town square of Carlskrona. We're waiting for Malin from the Visitors Bureau, and she's going to come over here and she's going to show us around the town. It's a World Heritage Site. The military base, they've got a museum over there. She promised us a lot of really cool things today, and I'm really looking forward to doing that rather than being on the water on this windy day.
Karlskrona was founded in 1680, and this is a naval town, 100%. That was the reason why Karlskrona was founded in the beginning. They needed an ice-free harbor for the Swedish Navy. So this part of the base is the naval shipyard. This were where they built the ships, made the ropes, and all the equipment for the ships. They, of course, also made all the sails for the big ships.
I still have that piece of rope that we made there.
For an ice-free harbor down in the southern parts of Sweden. And they didn't really found what they were looking for. So they said, let's build one. Let's build a whole new town. And the purpose of that town should be to be a center for the Swedish Navy, actually. And here you have the archipelago. That was actually the biggest reason why they chose this place to build the new town. If you look around here, you have all these surrounding islands. They are like a natural defense.
No experience can compare to traveling the idyllic Swedish countryside and experiencing their rich history, combined, of course, with incredible fishing opportunities. Carlskrona is definitely a unique place to go for any world traveler or angler.
Well, Carlskrona is actually, this town is built on islands, so that says everything to me. It's a historical place, beautiful, it's a World Heritage, but it's actually based on the sea, in the sea, on islands. So you have all these nice areas just around. You can go there, you can be fishing from land in Carlskrona, in town, but you are so close to everything. So it's like a center in the middle of the archipelago, and for me, the archipelago is everything.
After a whirlwind tour of the city, it's time to get back on the water. Today, the guys have hooked up with Ulf and Peter, owners of Salmon Marine. Their specialty is catching big salmon and cod offshore, but they've only tested their methods once in a kayak. Jim is joined by Erik Lorenz from Team Jackson Kayak Germany.
We want to catch the salmon of the lifetime.
And Gunnar Ahlström from Pike Strike Sweden. The guys hope to learn the ropes of salmon fishing and maybe show the boys from Santa Marine a thing or two about kayak fishing. First stop, the guys are going to drop jigs to fill their angle cooler with fresh cod for dinner tonight. Only a moment later, it's fish on.
All the good moms are crying, they should dying in a violent light. I'm alright, don't worry about me.
With a full cooler, the guys get set up for trolling for the big salmon Santa Marine is known for.
That's what's going on for dinner. Yes, perfect dinner size.
I always bring my angle cooler on our trips. It makes a great dry box, sits right on the back of my kayak. And even better, we get some good fish like these cod right here. We're gonna take these home and have a big old fish fry with the guys. While we were here in Sweden, we had an opportunity to go for salmon. And to do that, we had to troll multiple lines.
Kind of pause it again, just because I feel like asking a question. How is your cod fishery? Is it still good? Solid?
No.
No?
No, I'm really sorry to say that it has been, we have big super trawlers that has been fishing everything. So it's actually, we're not actually allowed to fish for cod right now.
Oh, really?
For the whole year. No, they have stopped all kind of cod fishing for privates and commercials. So it's really bad right at the moment.
That's too bad. But I know you guys have you guys do have a lot of regulations to help your fisheries. I know you had some stuff with the salmon, very strict seasons, and
we are not allowed to fish for wild salmon. They have, the Oedipus fin. If that's taken away, that means it's a farmed salmon from fisheries that they put out in the Baltics. We're allowed to keep those, but the wild ones we release immediately.
Yeah, that's good. Are you still? I remember around the time we were there, you guys were also seeing some big bluefin.
On the West Coast, on the West Coast, they had great fishing here in August. So together with Denmark, I think they tagged almost 100, or if it was 98 of them, because they travel in such speeds and such length. It's incredible. So they tag them and they follow their path. Some of them go into the Mediterranean, some of them go over to your side. And they are on the West Coast. They are very big. I mean, 500, 600, 700 pounds.
That's a big fish.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to catch them on my rods.
No, he said I don't need that in my life. My back certainly doesn't. So anyway, I just wanted to ask that about the cod fishery because it was so fun and they were so delicious.
Oh, they are.
And we're going to show you how to do that effectively in this week's kayak fishing tip.
This week's kayak fishing tip is brought to you by Kokatat, manufacturing paddling gear in Arcata, California for more than 40 years.
I troll multiple lines quite often when I'm at home, and here in Sweden, this is the first time I've ever done it in a way that really worked well to keep from getting your lines tangled together. And that was with the use of these Black Beast planer boards. They're very small, super light. They don't take up any room in your kayak. But the idea of them, you have a right and a left-handed, a right and a left-handed planer board, and you clip this onto the front of your line, and then you have another clip that you slide over the back. And so this is just riding on the surface. They naturally want to pull apart as you're trolling. So you can get a nice spread without having those lines getting tangled, because there's nothing worse than having to mess around with that. We were actually able to troll 3 lines, one of these on each side and then one straight down the middle. And that's your kayak fishing tip of the week.
And I still use those.
When we come back,
they are great.
A few hours trolling offshore and finally track down the elusive salmon they've been searching for. Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by DeLorme InReach. Follow Jim Sammons' Big Game Adventure live with DeLorme InReach of Carlskrona, Sweden.
Oh, I jumped too far forward. I was trying to jump past the commercial. And then I went too far forward, and then I went too far back.
Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Yak Attack. Create a fishing machine with Yak Attack accessories. Welcome back. This week, Jim is trolling far off the shores of Carlskrona, Sweden, on the hunt for big salmon from his kayak. Today is a bit of an experiment, as neither he nor his guides from Sanda Marine, Ulf and Peter, have much experience trying this method of trolling 3 rods from a kayak.
The guys just got us offshore a little ways, and got the kayaks were actually in a different boat to get out here. So we're just gonna get these things in the water, and we're gonna start trolling in a few minutes for salmon. Like I said, this is all new. These guys haven't done this other than one other time before. So they're just trying to figure it out and see how this works best. But I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Bait fish is starting to look up again, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the bait fish. We've got the salmons go around it and feed.
We're going to get Erik in the water first, so Ulf can show me exactly how the rigging is on these, you know, with these little planer boards and the way they're weighted, and you have release clips, and I've just not fished with this setup at all. So he's going to show me. We're going to get Erik out there first. Ulf's going to put the lines out for him so I can see exactly how to do it. So we're gonna learn some stuff here, which is always cool. It's great to learn new stuff.
He had a quick bite, and the release clip released the line, so the planner went down in the back of him. So we had a bite. It didn't catch this one, but we'll take the next one.
6 hours of trolling flies by as Ulf works hard to keep the guys' spirits up. Just as arms are about to give out paddling against the wind, Erik hears one of his lines rip.
Whatever you do, don't lose it.
Could
you tell him?
Mr. Steel Claw.
You're my hero. No, no.
That is a happy guy.
It's going down.
After a hard-fought struggle, the guys have landed their first salmon. Unfortunately, time is short, and Jim will have to wait another day to catch one himself. Time to head in. As promised, tonight they eat cod, prepared fresh by Peter and Ulf.
Like that. 2 cuts, one on that side, one on this side. Take the knife. Okay.
We put the cuts, the fillets in salted water for a while, just to sort of rinse them off, and then we fry them in butter and salt them up, and we eat them as they are.
Eating some of the cod we caught today. I mean, this fish was swimming not too long ago. This is incredible.
Another successful mission comes to a close, but Jim's adventure in Carlskrona is far from over. Next time we hook up with the guys of Team Europe in Carlskrona, bigger pike are in sight, and Jim will learn how to master the art of fly fishing from his kayak. But for that, you'll need
I
to
wouldn't
wait
say
until
master.
next season of the Kayak Fishing Show, because next week we're headed to Levy, Florida, to fish for reds, snook, gar,
Well, in these
and
waters,
big
you don't
black
have to be a
drum.
master.
Well, that was fun. That was great to relive those memories. I mean,
that was good times.
The that trolling segment, of course, creative editing. Erik caught his fish quite a bit earlier. I never got one, but we did paddle. I paddled for 6 hours straight. Like I said, because of the wind, never stopped paddling. By the time I got back up into the boat, I think every single muscle in my body cramped.
I know.
You remember that? I was like,
yeah. Well, that was brutal, because when you look at the film, it doesn't seem that bad, but there was some windy time that day, and you and Erik, you put in your hours. You did a serious job.
It was a mission, and I just didn't want to stop. I did not want to stop. I wanted to get that salmon.
Yeah.
You know, always looking for the new species. That cod was a new species, which was so cool. But I just didn't want to stop. But man, when I did, I mean, I remember my hands just cramped up like this, and I couldn't even, because like I said, it's one thing to be out paddling for 6 hours. This was, you could not stop.
No.
Other than just take a sip of water, because if you stopped, your lines were going to get tangled.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ulf, our time's up here. I really appreciate you joining me, man. Like I said, I know it's like midnight there now. If somebody anybody wants to see what you're up to, it is Wolf. It's Wolf Fishing Sweden. wolffishingsweden.com. And they can look you up for your type of, I mean, you're doing the guided trips for salmon as well as the pike and the whole gambit, right?
Yeah.
And as well as those trips to Croatia for the bluefin.
Yeah.
And so super cool, man. Thank you so much. We haven't talked in a while, and it's sure been fun catching up with you today.
Have a good one.
Hey, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was fun. Like I said, I really enjoyed catching up. I really appreciate all of you that joined us from all over the world. Remember, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday running different episodes, whether they're, the Jackson Kayak Years on Tuesdays or Ocean Kayak on Thursdays. This Thursday, we are going to be in Mazatlan, Mexico, fishing freshwater, actually. We'll be fishing at El Salto, which is a very famous bass lake. You know, I'm not a big bass fisherman, but you get invited to El Salto, you go. So thanks, everybody, again, for joining us. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate the comment. Oh, and G Stone from North Wales, UK. Again, I really appreciate everybody who joins us. And if you can do us that favor and share our page, share our videos with your friends, I really appreciate that. Remember, if you are going out on the water, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care. We'll see you on Thursday.